Hi, everyone. Welcome to Take the Weight Out of Weight Loss with Natasha D'Souza. Today, I have with me a very, very special guest and a very, very close friend, Emiliya, but I like to call her Foxy. I mean, that's what she goes as well. What do you prefer? What do we prefer we use today?
Yeah, I think Foxy.
Foxy,
Yeah.
yeah. So Foxy, and she's going to be here today. We're going to be talking about her journey, her weight loss journey, her struggles with eating, how she's navigating today's world, and just getting to know a lot more about her. So, Foxy, thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, I've been meaning to do this with you for so long.
I know.
First, before we begin, if you want to just introduce yourself to everyone, and then we'll go through everything else.
Yeah, hey, it's Foxy, and I'm a content creator, a mom, and a business owner as well. And I've been struggling with emotional and binge eating for the most of my life. So I'm really, really glad that I'm here and I can share a little bit more about this and share awareness as well. And just also give my tips and tricks on how I dealt with that.
Yeah. I mean, I remember when I first started talking about binge eating, and you and I were having discussions, and you're like, I can relate to that. I face that. I have periods in my life where I would just eat so much. So let's start there, where if we can go back in time, because you've had an amazing like journey, career. You've done so much, and I always say I always look up to you for how much you do. But through all of that, if you can remember your earliest memory of binge eating and how that played out in your life.
Yeah, I think it's going back to childhood, of course, but not very early, but let's say the teenage years, where I was a very sensitive kid. So I think the bullies sensed that and they just made up in their mind that I was fat and they started calling me fat. And then I gave them reactions. So they kept on calling me that. So I believed them. That's fully my responsibility and that's my problem that I believe them. So that's a thing that I want to teach my son in the future. Don't believe what they're saying. This is what they're projecting. It's not who you are. So I believed them, and then I started a cycle of dieting and then binge eating and dieting and binge eating and hiding when I'm binge eat from my family, from my friends, from everyone around me. It's just such a wicked cycle that really takes so much to break, and I'm still working on it. It's not, I feel like this is going to be a lifetime journey that it's really, really hard to break once and for all. It's always like a tough situation in your life could make you relapse and get you back into that cycle of emotional eating. We're going to talk about this a lot today, I'm sure. But yeah, it's just the fact that I was restricting myself so much that led me to overeat and binge eat later on. And mostly it was in private and hidden.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy how binge eating, we appear as one individual in public, and then in private, we have so much guilt, so much shame. We're eating bags and bags of food. And the one thing that resonated with me a lot that I read once was what we eat in private will show in public, and that the minute you see that, it's like, oh my God, I'm going to be exposed. Can I know, because you said you did a lot of dieting back in the day. What was one of the most, or maybe two of the most extreme diets that you've done where you look back at now and say, I can't believe I did that?
I'm pretty sure I've tried every diet on the planet, and I think a lot of people know that I also owned the first keto business in UAE and one of the most successful ones. So I was literally preaching keto light, right, left, front, center, and I really used to believe so much in keto specifically. Of course, keto is not the most restrictive. I've done crazier stuff than that. But keto, I think it was the most impactful for my journey because afterwards, first of all, I love my carbs. I love carbs. And me restricting that completely, that whole food group away from my diet was something that I didn't realize at the moment is going to impact me so badly. And then once I stopped, and I was like so happy with keto for 2 years, and I was again, I was preaching it to everyone, and I was talking all of. I'm a nerd, so I really read so much about keto and all the benefits. Which obviously keto does have
Yeah.
a lot of benefits for people that need those benefits.
Yeah.
But for a weight loss too, it is just not sustainable. It is just not sustainable. And that realization after keto, because I was so proud with all my success and with all my, weight loss, and then I gained even more once I stopped. And that's when I knew, okay, there is something wrong. I was preaching this type of living and this type of lifestyle. I mean, I used to call it a lifestyle, when now I'm pretty sure it's really, it's not sustainable to keep keto as a lifestyle. It's not.
Yeah, I know. I mean, that's how we met, right? We met because you own this keto business that everyone was talking about, and I found you on Instagram. I was like, oh my God, I need to meet this girl. I need to buy all her keto items. So I met you the first time when you were at Times Square, I
Yes.
believe, and I bought everything that you had on your table. Then I ordered a keto cake for my birthday, and that's how our friendship
I
grew.
delivered myself.
Yes, you
It was
did.
so
You
cute.
did. It was my birthday and it was such an amazing cake. And you're so right. You're absolutely right. Especially when you struggle with emotional eating and binge eating. There we go between permitting ourselves to eat and restricting. And then the minute we find, oh, if I cut something out, the weight loss comes. And I believe we've all been there. I mean, when I had my first weight loss journey, I cut out carbs. That's how I lost majority of the weight. And then in 6 months I gained 30
And
kilos
everyone
back.
knows that's the easiest path to losing weight, obviously.
Exactly. It's the easiest path to losing weight and it's the easiest path to gaining back the weight.
Even more.
Yeah, exactly, right? So keto and then any other restrictive diets that you can remember where you're like, oh, no, I can't believe I
I
did that.
I was obsessed with this diet. It was so popular back home in Bulgaria. I don't know who came up with this, but it was like I was obsessed with that. So basically, you eat 2 days, you eat only potatoes. Then 2 days, you eat only chicken. Then 2 days, you eat only fish. Then 2 days, you eat only fruits. 2 days, you eat only. I don't even remember anymore. But it was based on that kind of thing for 14 days, and then you just repeat the cycle. And but that's not healthy at all. I don't know how I've done it for so long. Yes, I did a lot. I did lose a lot of weight because how much chicken can you eat in one day? You know what I mean? Like you get
Yeah.
bored of it. So I think that's the whole point of that diet. You just get bored of it, and in the end, you just eat one piece of chicken so you don't die from hunger,
Yeah.
so you don't starve yourself. But that was really crazy because it was not healthy. Also because they say all type of chicken is allowed or all type of potatoes is allowed. So I would literally eat French fries 6 a.m. in the morning just because I'm only allowed potatoes, and I mean it's ridiculous.
Oh my God,
It's ridiculous.
and this is I love asking people that question because every person, especially if you struggle with emotional eating, you've had to have had some sort of crazy diet. I think my craziest one was the cabbage soup diet. Have you ever heard of it?
The good thing is I don't eat this stuff and you cannot convince me to have it. So I think that's why I haven't tried, or I haven't done like a juice cleanse for
Yeah.
like 10
Oh,
days.
I've done that.
I've
Yeah.
done crazy fastings though. I've
Yeah.
I've used to fast for up to 4 days, like just water, because I don't
Really?
drink coffee, so like literally just water. I did feel great though, but you can imagine the impact on my emotional and binge eating afterwards.
Yeah.
It's like catching up on everything you've missed. Like it's like a FOMO for eating.
Yeah. I like to say, like, don't awaken the binge eating dragon. And a 4-day fast, that's what it will do.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I haven't tried. I've tried every diet in the book. I haven't tried a 4-day fast. So we'll see. I want to come now to, let's say, the present time, and very recently you've had a amazing weight loss journey. And I want us to take it a step back before we start talking about your weight loss journey and maybe get a little bit into what led you up to the weight that you were. So if you want to share a little bit with us about that.
Yeah. So when back in the days when I started keto, I thought I was doing the right thing I was aware that I had problem with food and my relationship with food was like wicked since my earlier days. However, I thought that I found the tool. I was so happy with keto. I was feeling great. But then the moment when I started my business, I got so busy and it's really, really hard to sustain really busy lifestyle with any type of dieting, or especially this type of restrictive dieting, because keto was so specific that I believe that's why my business was so successful as well, because there you don't have plenty of options, or at least you didn't have back in the days. So it's really hard when you're busy to find, with the current lack of options, to find it makes it even further more difficult for you. So once my business started booming, I really struggled staying on track, which I thought was staying on track back in the days. And I started eating regular carby foods here and there. And then once, of course, you wake up the dragon, just the domino effect. It just, everything starts
Absolutely.
going down. And then I gained, so I lost, with keto, I lost around 35 kilos. And then I think I gained around 45 kilos, which was the heaviest I've ever been in my life. And that's when I really realized something's wrong. And that's when I opened my eyes about, okay, I have emotional and binge eating, but how do you deal with that? Like, you're aware, I was aware from before that. I thought keto was the tool, it was not. But what do you do to heal that? That's the biggest question. Like, a lot of people know they have childhood trauma. They know there is something wrong with them. How do you deal with that? That's the problem. Like, give me the answers. So luckily, I found a book. It's called The F-It Diet. And it really opened my eyes. I could relate to every word in that book. And it's really something that twisted my whole mindset. However, what it was said there to take as first step towards healing is to just allow yourself be. Allow yourself eat everything. Allow yourself just live and eat everything without any restrictions. So I did that. And obviously, I knew, I was completely and fully aware that I would gain even more weight. 100%. There is no way that you allow yourself to just eat whatever you want and whatever you think of and not gain weight. But I knew that's what's going to be the price for me to reprogram myself, to stop naming foods bad, good, and like restrict some group of foods or some type of foods, or just the whole programming that I had to really erase and start from zero to build myself up. So if this is what it takes, okay, count me in. So that's what I did. I literally left myself. I tried to be more mindful, of course. I tried to be very mindful, listen to my body, listen to my hunger cues, try to analyze, is it a hunger cue? Did I just saw a commercial on the TV and I want to eat that burger? Or did someone influence me into that? Is it just a craving? Is it just I'm seeking for some comfort? Or what is it? So that whole analyzing takes so much. And yeah, pretty much that's pretty much how I came to this journey right now. And I gained, of course, more weight than that. Then I had a journey trying to get pregnant with my soon-to-be ex-husband. And this was also very stressful and traumatic. This was also very, of course, emotional. So I think this whole lineup of events in my life led me to gain even further weight, to the point where I was at my heaviest, not at my heaviest, I was to the point where after a few years of me allowing to eat everything, I think it was about a year and a half, two, where I allowed myself to just be. Then I got pregnant. And by this time, I think I've kind of lost a little bit of weight as well, because I was already trying to be mindful.
Yeah.
So when I got pregnant, of course, in pregnancy, I told myself, you know what, I'm not gonna get crazy about it. I'm just gonna do what my body feels is right. I'm not gonna stop myself from anything. So I ended up being 130 kilos postpartum, almost. Of course, I lost the first 10 kilogram directly after my birth, and I was left at 120. That was literally the highest weight of my life.
Can I ask, how did you feel at that point? Like stepping on the scale, knowing you weighed 120 after giving birth. How did you feel?
Honestly, I was at ease. I was not too worried, because I think these 2 years where I was trying to heal and allowed myself to just be without having to think and shame myself and literally just be trying to ignore every comment from anyone, and just knowing why I'm doing this, and knowing that I need to do this in order to start my journey to health and wellness. Like it was like a reset in a way. I knew I can get back to being healthy and being well, and especially becoming a mom changed my whole mindset, changed me completely. Now, the moment I became a mom, I started knowing that I need to be better. I need to be healthier. My son needs me to be longer next to him, to even though I'm sure he would not need me pretty soon. But a mom wants to feel needed for longer, right? So he just makes me want to be my better and best version of myself.
Yeah.
So postpartum, I didn't have any struggles postpartum with my body, with the fact that a lot of women grieve their bodies before. I never loved my body to start with, so I didn't have anything to grieve.
Yeah.
So I think that was easier on me, other than the postpartum emotions and anxiety that I felt. That's where it hit me. But when it comes to my weight, I was not concerned. I was not worried, because I knew this is just the beginning. I'm starting my journey. I need to be the better example for my children, for myself, and I just need to make sure that I take care of myself and be healthier for longer.
Yeah. I mean, you've done an exceptional job. I remember the first time I seen you, I was like, what? You look amazing. And,
Thank you.
I know I met you when you started your journey. I remember we even went for dinner one day and you told me, you said, I'm just healing now. I just go based on what my body tells me and when to stop. And I think people they forget that when you struggle with eating, you suppress so much that you don't know when you're hungry. You don't know when you're full. The way you're responding to food is simply based on I'm angry, I'm sad, I'm upset, I'm happy, I'm excited, I want to celebrate, and so when you told me that, I was like, wow, that's really interesting. And it takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of courage.
I was freaking out at the beginning. I was like, I'm gonna gain so much weight. I don't know how I'm gonna come. And the fact that that you cannot start another diet, that's what is so scary, because if you start another diet, it's gonna trigger you more, and it's gonna be a cycle where at the beginning when I started dieting, I had to lose 3 kilos. Then I lose these 3 kilos, I gain 5. I lose 5 kilos the next diet, I gain 7. I lose 7 kilos, I gain 10. And it's a cycle that never ends. And
Yeah.
it just gets worse and worse and worse. And I believe that's how people get very obese these days, because of the dieting mentality that is like pressed and pushed upon us. And we didn't get to have any healthy coping mechanisms with that. No one spoke about this before. Like it's just food. Just stop eating. That was the whole solution back in the days.
Yeah, absolutely. Even depending on the culture, they'd be like anxiety, stress eating. Really, what is that?
Yeah.
It's such a new phenomenon to people, and for you to explore that. I mean, I even told you back then. I said kudos to you, because going in and taking that intuitive approach it takes a lot of work. So fast forward then to your weight loss journey in itself. What now going that approach, now having your son and wanting to be a better person, what was some of the, let's say, techniques, and what did you take upon your journey? And let's not forget as well that you were going through a very, very difficult period as well after having your son. So if you want to just share with the audience what that difficult period was, if you're comfortable doing so, and then what you did to be so successful on your weight loss journey.
Honestly, at the beginning, postpartum, I feel like my whole motivation was just being better for my son. Like this, they say that this motherly instincts just kick in, and they don't kick in just magic like that, but they just become stronger and stronger with every day. So at the beginning, it was about him. However, I faced a lot of postpartum anxiety. Then I faced a lot of relationship problems with my ex-husband, and we separated. So this whole life events that were just lined up as well again played such a huge role for me to realize about a lot of things that I've never realized before. Because I think whenever I was put in a situation like this where I could have realized this earlier, I just kept distracting myself and just, like when we are younger, we think that, okay, just distracting ourselves from the problems is actually the way, just swiping it under the rug. However, it did not do a favor for me. So I had to learn it at that point in a very sensitive time of my life, postpartum. But I realized everything I've done in my life comes from my own self-esteem and my own self-worth evaluation and my own self-love. So when I realized that, I think it's very important that we know that everything comes from within, because if you don't realize that, like, you can find any external reason for you to change, but that's not going to be sustainable again.
Absolutely.
I'm going to lose weight for my boyfriend, I'm going to lose weight for my wedding, I'm going to lose weight I'm going to lose weight for the summer, I'm going to lose weight for that photo session I have. These are all external reasons that, yeah, you can do that, you can achieve that, but you cannot keep it. This is not enough reason, not a valid reason for you to keep that weight off, and it might trigger you even further later on. So at the beginning, it was my son. I was breastfeeding, so I wanted to eat healthy, of course. This was very important for me. But then once I realized that everything I've attracted in my life was based on my own self-worth, on my own lack of self-love, I started mindfully wanting to do this for myself, not for anyone else. So I think that was the most important and the most crucial part of my journey, is that I started doing it for myself. So no, really, thank you so much for being on social media, and for your social media presence helped me really much as well in my journey, because you were the first one that I found online. I mean, I've already knew you, but the first time I see someone talk about and addressing these issues on social media. And especially for the region, it's still very taboo, and it's still very a subject where people just ignore, but it's so crucial for so many people, and they don't even realize how much impact it has on their life. So thank you so much, because you've given me also a lot of tools and a lot of information, for me, how to handle these urges of emotional eating and binge eating, saying that I'm actually currently in one as well. So that's why I'm saying it's a lifelong journey. I don't think it ever ends. It's ups and downs, and we all have situation in our life where it triggers our emotions, and the easiest and the most available thing out there that gives you some type of comfort is food, right?
Yeah, it's the most accepted as well, and this is why people downplay it, because they're like, it's food, control yourself. But if you're addicted to food, if you're using food for your emotions, it's the same as alcohol, sex, drugs. It's the exact same, but we normalize it because it's food. And you have to eat to survive.
And you need it, yeah, exactly.
It's not like, oh, stop smoking or stop drinking. It's not. So I completely, I'm glad you found my content helpful, but I can completely relate to what you're speaking to as well in so many different ways. And so how do you handle that now when you get those urges or when you get binges? Like, what does eating look for you like in this version of you?
So before, sorry.
Take your time. Don't worry.
So you mean what's my meals like right now, or just like
before it was maybe just eating, because you went through that whole intuitive approach, right?
Yeah.
And intuitive is, I'll eat when I'm full, I'll eat whatever
Yeah.
I want, and then to be on weight loss, for example, you've got to eat less, you've got to move more. So how did you start? What those meals look like, and what does life look like for you?
Yeah. So right now, of course, I'm just gonna be really mindful and intuitive when it comes to my eating. Before, because of the whole restriction and all the foods that I've restricted to myself, I would be craving them all of the time. All of the time. On my cheat days, I would literally have 5 or 6 meals from junk food chain. In the same day. That's probably over 10,000 calories or something. That's crazy, just because I feel FOMO of what I've missed, and I just want to catch up on everything that I've missed. So right now that I've allowed myself to eat everything and anything, If I am to create burger, for example, first of all, I'm gonna put a deadline for myself. I would just stay there. I'm not gonna answer and I'm not gonna answer that craving immediately. I'm just gonna ask myself, is this a real craving? Do I really want it? Do I really need it? Do I am I influenced by any other external factors? Maybe my friends went to burger place and I'm with them and they're eating burger in front of me. Do I really want it? So I'm gonna ask these questions. Then after that, when I'm about to answer that craving, let's say, I'm gonna go to the chain and about to order. I'm gonna order a smaller option of what I've before. I would order 3-4 burgers when I have a burger craving. I couldn't satisfy it with just one. It wouldn't be satisfying enough because I know this is restricted and I don't know when it's the next time I'm gonna have it. So it's just like, okay, I'm gonna just store on that in a way. Right now, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna have a smaller portion, and then of course I'm gonna balance it out in the day. For example, if I'm to have an answer one of those cravings that we know it's not that healthy, then I'm gonna have something very light for dinner, or like I'm gonna skip breakfast or something that is not gonna affect me in a way. For example, I don't have problem skipping breakfast. It doesn't trigger me. Everyone knows what triggers them and what doesn't. Some people need that breakfast, and if you skip that breakfast, then the whole day. Actually, when I skip breakfast, I don't get that hungry in the day. So for me, this works actually better. Some people, when they skip breakfast, then they will just keep on binging for the rest of the day. I know skipping meals triggers a lot of people sometimes. And it's good to always be prepared for that and always just eat. But yeah, right now I would just eat, I would focus on whole foods. Sorry, I would just repeat that. So right now, basically, I would be eating mostly whole foods most of the time, but I'm balancing. If I want to eat chocolate, I'm going to eat a chocolate. But before, I would eat a whole chocolate slab. Right now, I'm going to have, okay, maybe even half. Okay, still a lot, for some people. But it's still, I know that it's still so much better than before. And I still have the control around it. I'm not just going to finish it.
There was something that you said, which I think is so important in today's day and age, especially for someone like yourself, like a content creator. You said, I ask myself if I really want it and if I'm okay having it later. And it's so rare that I hear people ask themselves that, because in a world where social media, TikTok,
Consumers.
Instagram, Reels, we want instant gratification. It is the thing that I see myself, my clients, you, like, we struggle with this. We want it instantly. I want it now. I want 5 burgers. I want 6 burgers. And the most important lesson that you can teach yourself is delayed gratification. And that's what you did. So I'm listening to you speak. I was like, oh, that's amazing. Because we're stuck. You see, I speak to sometimes girls that are 16 years old, 13 years old. They're stuck in this instant gratification. So the fact that you are telling yourself, no, I can have it later. Do I really want it? Such important questions. So, so amazing.
But also because I don't forbid myself of having that. For me, I know these foods are allowed anytime I want them, if I really want them.
Yeah.
The moment I start forbidding myself of having those foods, that's when I want them all of the time. It's like Adam and Eve, right?
Yeah.
The forbidden apple. This is how, unfortunately, our brains work.
Yeah.
If something is not allowed and it's restricted and it's forbidden, we want it more.
Yeah.
Subconsciously. It's not like we want to do that, but that's who we are as humans.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's the way our mind works. And I say sometimes it works like a stubborn child. It's like, I want. And the minute you say, okay, fine, you can have one every day. No, I don't want.
Exactly. Since I started being so mindful and letting myself eat what I want, of course, but just being smart about it, being mindful about it, balancing. Balance is key for everything in life. Any extreme is not healthy. None of the extremes is healthy. So the moment you allow yourself have everything, you know that you can have it at any time. So you're not in a hurry.
Yeah.
When you have a cheat meal, what do you do? You have one meal. You've been missing pizzas, you've been missing pasta, you've been missing burgers and fries. What are you gonna have? You're gonna have everything. That's what I used to do. I'm gonna have everything in one meal.
Yeah. Everything
literally and more.
Yeah.
And a cake and donuts, and I'm gonna have the whole box of donuts, not just one or two or whatever. So that's the key. Just allow yourself be. Do not restrict yourself. That's what yes, be mindful, be smart. we know that to lose weight, to be healthy, you have to be in a calorie deficit. That's the key in any diet anyways, you know. But just be smart about it. I
Yeah.
mean, you don't need to eat the whole plate. You need to listen to your body. See, I know you also have a problem like that. I'm also a quantity eater. This is a volume eater. Like, this is a problem for me, you know. But I found foods that are very low in calories. For example, for dinner, if I had like a heavier lunch, for dinner I'm gonna have a half of a watermelon, like the whole thing. Yes, it's a lot of watermelon, but how much calories is that? 300, 400 maximum?
Yeah.
It's nothing compared to actual meal. So yeah, make smart choices, make smart substitutions that work for you. Analyze what works for you. See, try. It's all trial and error at the end of the day, right?
Yeah. I have a question for you. Given that you run one of the most successful keto businesses, and keto in itself, from let's say from the outside, in itself is restriction, right? Restriction of carbs. Did you see past clients or consumers overdoing it in the name of keto,
Overdoing it as in
over consuming, and saying, "Oh well, at least it's keto; it will keep me fit."
oh, 100%. That's the thing, and I think a lot of people used to respect that a lot. Is that me as a keto business owner, I could have sold them everything, right? But I mindfully and every time I would tell everyone, do not overeat those. Those are for your craving. When you really have a craving, okay, you address that, you get a cupcake, you know, okay, have it. Don't have one box of cupcakes every week. That's not healthy. And the our some of our loyal and repetitive customers, I've addressed that with them as well, because first of all, there is still studies about artificial sweeteners, right? Even though there are 0 calories and they claim that they do not spike your blood sugar whatsoever. There is studies that, okay, they don't do that, but they do a lot of other things. So do not over consume anything in this world. Honestly, right now, this is our whole generation is over consuming everything. I'm trying to really, I think that this past 1 year is a really big lesson for me as well on overconsumptions as well, because obviously through going through separation with your husband, going again motherhood, entering motherhood, because it's a journey that never stops as well, and it's a learning curve that never stops, motherhood. Through all of these things, I had to be more responsible financially too, and I've realized how much really I've been over consuming everything in the world. And the same thing can happen. Okay, these are low calorie biscuits, these are low calorie chocolates, these are low calorie chips, or keto biscuits, or keto cheesecakes. They're keto, it's fine. No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's still at the end of the day, you need to balance. Nothing extreme is good.
Yeah. What I would notice on my end with clients is they would go keto and they would still be binge eating, but they would be binge eating in the name of keto
Yeah.
and say, well, at least it's healthy, you know? So you're not getting to the root cause of the
Exactly.
problem.
I think I was doing the same thing during keto as well. I was
Really?
doing the same
When
thing.
did you notice that for yourself?
Well, as I said, when I stopped, the events happened like that, and I stopped keto, and everything started going downfall, and I gained even more weight. I realized, okay, keto was a tool that, okay, if you don't have a lying condition and or a lying problem already in your head with food and relationship with food, that's why there is a lot of people that have successful stories of just going on one diet and keeping the weight off, you know, because they've never had an actual mental problem with food, right? And eating disorder or any of those things. And I admire those people. I'm like, how did you do that? You know, because I can never relate and I can never understand it, because I'm not one of those people. So once everything started going downhill and I even gained even more weight and I felt like so much worse, like health wise, you know, I was like, this has to change.
Now let's talk about your baby boy, right? He is adorable. I see him on social media and I was like, oh my God, I could just pinch his cheeks. How old is he now?
He's too.
He's 2. God, that has passed by so
I
quickly.
know.
So he's growing up. I'm assuming, weaning off baby food and now trying adult food and things of that
Well,
sort.
he's been doing that since 7 months old.
Has he been
Yeah.
really? That's amazing. So, what's his transition been like? Being a mom, having struggled with food, having struggled with binge eating, and where, you have seen yourself go wrong. The intention always with our children is we don't want to repeat the same mistakes. Yeah. So, what comes into play on a day to day with you and him?
See, that's a thing that I really struggle with because right now I realize every small detail around food can impact him so much, the same way it did to me, the same way it did to so many other people, right? And for example, the grandmother or the nanny or anyone that tries to like feed him or like pressure, put any type of pressure for him to on eating, I get the ick, I get really, because I know I just want to be stress free around food when it comes to my son. I really don't give him any pressure to eat. I just let him. I know that when there is a food available, he's not gonna starve. If he wants to eat, he's gonna eat. If he doesn't want to eat, it's fine. This is his body. Like kids are not like us. Kids follow their instincts, and us growing up, humans, while they grow up, they kind of start forgetting about their instincts, about their even gut feelings. We start ignoring all of these natural things that we're blessed with and starting thinking. Kids don't do that yet. So kids really follow their natural instincts and just let them be. Just let them be, offer them variety of foods, be the example. You cannot expect that you're eating French fries every day and then expect your child to eat broccoli. I'm sorry, but that's not how it works, right? Like they would be like, why would I eat that if you're eating this? So it's really important that you portray what they want to be in any aspect. But now we are talking about food. It's really important to me. It's a very big subject to me. I fight with my mom all of the time because she just, every grandma is just like, come, eat this, eat that, eat this, eat that. So I really fight with her all of the time when it comes to this. That's her biggest problem because also I think the older generation, they don't understand. Like it's a normal thing. I completely get it. There was not that much information about these things back in the days, but they don't get the impact that this has. Most of the picky eaters are picky eaters because they've been forced, or there is a lot of pressure around feeding and around food, and they can feel the mom being so anxious that they're not eating. They can feel all of that stuff, and toddlers especially, they have this thing that they subconsciously test every boundary that you have and like to do the opposite thing of what you want them to do, right? They just want to do the opposite. So the more you want them to eat and the more you're like so worried, and they see the importance that this have to for you, the more they would step back from it. So just I try to have zero pressure around feedings, around eatings. Zero. He's had like days where he would eat very little. He would had days where I cannot even keep up with his eating, and I'm fine. I know whenever he needs that, he would have it.
Yeah. Given that your mom is there now and she's your mom and you're seeing her doing this to your son.
She's also standing in my way, but yeah.
But how
On my weight loss.
how was she with? I know she's an amazing cook. I've tried her amazing baker as well. I've tried, I think it was pizzas once when I came to your house that she made, and she's like, I made fresh pizzas like it was nothing. It was so good. But now, if you're looking at the way she is speaking to your son, what were some of the things that she did when you were growing up? That, and we never place blame,
Yeah.
like you said, parents do things unintentionally. It's not like when we're born they get a guide manual, here's how you raise your child. They do their best.
Yeah.
But what are some of the things that you noticed that she did while you were younger that maybe pushed your need for food over
Yeah.
the edge?
Not even that much her, but I think everyone around me. It's not only her. Like it was my grandmother, it was the teachers in my nursery, and the teachers in the school. They would always ask you to finish your plate. Like I would never ask Alex to finish his plate. Like you don't want to eat, okay, it's fine. They would always ask me several times. Like I told my mom. I tried to explain to her so many times. I would like to eat more, but I'm trying mindfully to stop myself because I had enough. But my mind wants more because that's my habits. My habits are like to feel so full that I cannot breathe. I have to go directly and nap on the sofa. That's when I feel satisfied from food. Yeah. And only that is when I feel satisfied. So like currently my choices don't bring that satisfaction to me, but I know why I'm doing it, and I know that this is what I need to do in order to be healthy. And now that I found self-love, it's really important for me to keep doing that, because when you care about when you care for yourself, you take more care of yourself. You take care of the things that you love, right? So I constantly tell her, please don't ask me if I want more. I do. I really do want more because it's so yummy. I would just eat it because I love the taste. Just it brings me like nostalgia, memories. Like I love food. I really love food. I do love food, but I know when to stop now. So every time she asks me, she triggers me. It triggers me because I have to say no, and it's hard to say no. Even though this builds a discipline in me and it builds more self-esteem when it comes to food, and confidence around food, still it's so hard. So I keep telling her, don't ask if we want more. If you want more, we can ask you, like he will ask you if he wants more. This is his most used word anyways. He says it 1 million times a day, more, more of everything. So he would ask, I would ask. I'm a grown ass woman. I can also stand up and get for myself more. So don't worry. So I just try to explain to her that food should be just a normal thing that we eat to survive, to nourish ourselves. It's not. Nowadays, a lot of people take food as pleasure, and this is actually sinful. Like in any religion, greed is sinful, right? And understanding that also should push you away from that. Like you shouldn't be, greedy around food. You shouldn't just ask for more of everything in general. So yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to have zero pressure around food when it comes to his feeding. I try to tell him I call them sometimes food and everyday food. So, for example, even for his snacks, like there is apples, fruits, I never say no to when he wants fruits or any vegetables or like cucumber sticks or anything like that. I say always yes. There are sometimes food where I say, okay, you had this yesterday, you can have it in a few days again, but now these are the options, this is the everyday food. So that's how I try to balance it, because also it's hard with toddlers and their sugar cravings, and they just want to eat everything unhealthy, of course. Everyone likes those tastes, right?
I like that. Sometimes food and everyday food. I
Yeah.
like that. It's easier for them to navigate
Yes.
as well. You said something which I can resonate with so much. You said, I love food. But you also said, you know, when I love myself, I take care of it. When you love food, when people say, oh, well, I can't help it, it's because I love food. I can't help the fact that I'm struggling with binge
Which one do you
eating.
love more?
Exactly, right? I can't help the fact that I'm binge eating. I can't help my body because I love food. If you loved food, you would appreciate it. You would cherish it. You would eat it slow. You wouldn't abuse it. You wouldn't eat mass amounts of it. When you love something, you cherish it. And I think so the fact that you have come to terms with your self love, it will show your appreciation on that love for food. You
That's
know,
actually such a different perspective. Also, like your relationship with food. Like you don't love food. You love what food brings you.
exactly.
Yeah, that's not
Exactly.
exactly. I haven't thought about this before.
Exactly. That's exactly that. And it's such a different moment of realization. So when people tell me they love food, I just sit quiet because I want to hear what they have to say about food. But when someone comes to a journey like yourself, when they come to the moment of self-love, the way you do one thing in life is the way you do everything. So the minute you start loving yourself, then you start appreciating food in a different way. You start showing your son these habits. You start appreciating what you do. Everything just starts aligning in a very different way. So just to hear your transition there, I was like, wow, she must look at food so differently now.
100%.
Yeah, you can so feel it. So I want to talk a little bit more about body image. Given the fact that you're a content creator, you're on social media every day, just killing it with the videos. And one I want to ask is how do you view your body today? Of course, you've had the amazing weight loss journey. What are your thoughts on body image, and where do you feel like you fit in as far as that stands?
Okay, can I just take it a step further, just to kind of talk a little bit about self love in general? Because I feel like I realized in the past 1 year going through the separation with my husband, and I realized that self love literally affects every aspect of my life. The way you view yourself, it's how people view you. That's why sometimes we see people that are not so not so amazingly perfect by the beauty standard, but they do think of themselves so high, achieve everything that they want, and they put their energy to. So I just wanted to take it a step further. The moment of realization that I had when it comes to self-love was the moment that changed my whole life, because I know that I lack that. I realize that I lack that, and it's still an ongoing journey, of course. But the more you fall in love with yourself, the more you take care of yourself. And of course, the more you would want to, when it comes to food, you would want to nourish your body. Before, I used to punish myself in that way because I hate my body, right? So I just hated that. So I would just eat all the foods that we know for a fact are so bad. Like, I'm talking about the worst of the foods. I'm not gonna mention the name because boycott. But in the same time, like, it's just, we just couldn't stop it. We just couldn't help it, right? And it's not even the taste, because I haven't craved that for so long. It's not even the taste. I think it's subconsciously the fact that we know how bad this is for us,
Yeah.
and we just try to feed that to our body because we hate it.
Yeah.
You don't pluck a flower if you love it. You take care of it. You flower it every day. You put water. You give him sun, right? You want that flower to bloom and grow. That's what you do. And that's what you should do with yourself. And when I became mom, that's one question I heard on another content creator's social media. She talks about self-love a lot. She said, love yourself and do things towards yourself the same way you would love your child. Why don't we? Because, the fact that when my son was born, I no longer was able to do a lot of compromises that I used to do before him. Basically, I couldn't compromise when it comes to him, like how people, for example, treat how people are, and they treat, for example, me and him in some specific way. I couldn't compromise with the fact how he was treated, but I compromised for years and years about the fact that I was treated in the same way before. So I was like, that's a huge issue. That's a huge no, because the way I wouldn't let anyone harm or mistreat my son, I should not let anyone harm or mistreat like myself. So it's the same thing with food. Why would I let this food harm me? Yeah, sometimes you have the craving. Okay, honor it. Do that. Do it in a normal sizes, in a normal way. Sometimes, like, I've had like junk food for the past 1 year, maybe 3 or 4 times, and I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it, but I don't crave it. I don't want it because I know I crave it from time to time, and when like I've spent maybe weeks of craving it, and then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna honor it now, And it's not like before, like obsessively to just think about that and be angry if I don't get it, and like have these tantrums if I don't get what I wanted now, right now. It's just something that, okay, yeah, I would like to have that, But back to self-love, it really affects also how you see yourself, because I've done a lot of exercises once I found out about the lack of my self-love, because I've always thought that I've been a really, I thought I love myself. I really believed that I love myself, but my actions proved wrong, right? What I did is be confident in myself. So confidence is something that you build with your experiences. Every time you prove yourself that you can do something and that you're capable, you build more and more confidence. And confidence is good, but it's not your inner voice. What's your inner voice is your self-esteem. That's what I'm lacking. And I've done a lot of exercises ever since I realized that, to be able to build a better image for myself, such as even staring at yourself, staring at yourself naked in the mirror for a lot of long time without being able to like move it's really hard. You have no idea how hard it could be to just look at yourself when you hate yourself that much. And all you see is like all your flaws. And then the more you do it, the more you actually notice things that you start you start moving the focus to the things that you actually like. And it's a reprogramming your whole mind and how you view yourself. Of course, with social media, our generation, especially us millennials, we We grew up with MTV, with Victoria's Secrets,
Guilty.
with publicly shaming like celebrities for gaining 2 kilos or like literally ridiculous stuff. I'm so grateful for the new generation and how people are so aware about these things, and it's so inappropriate talking about these things nowadays. And even though it's harder to have any communication or conversation where everything's like so politically, or like so. Even though it makes having a conversation so much harder nowadays, just to be correct with everything, I appreciate it so much, and I'm so happy that my son will grow up into this type of, society, unlike ours. But our generation was so affected by this, and our body image is completely wrong. For us, something like cellulite or stretch marks was something that is, oh my god, it's not normal. Wrinkles or skin texture or pores,
Yeah.
all of this was so demonized over the past 30 years, right? And thank god now people are starting to talk and show the real thing, because right now we have professional lighting, we have everything. Like probably our skin looks so
Flawless.
yours is flawless
Oh,
anyways.
stop.
But yeah, you know what I mean, like it's all tools that you can use to make that image perfect, but in reality no one is perfect.
Yeah.
Nothing is perfect, and it's actually more beautiful that way.
Yeah. It's I would rather stand out than blend in and fit in.
All my life I've been trying to fit in, all of my life, and we are not meant to do that. You always need to stand out. You are yourself, and you're the only one that can be you, right? So why not just stand out and like, I don't know, like I've literally the past 2 3 years I've been trying to purposely stand out, even the way I do my makeup. And this is who I am. I love that. I am creative type of person. And why do I need to blend in? Why do you need to tame your light down just to fit in? Because a lot of us shine even stronger than.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. Before we finish, and because you're such a big advocate of self-love, what would be your leaving message to someone struggling with their weight, struggling with binge eating, struggling with emotional eating, and have really lost hope? And what advice would you give them as far as self-love is concerned?
You always need to start from within. That's something in any problem you face in your life, in any challenge that you face in your life, you have to start from within. You can blame other people for a lot of things. You can victimize yourself as much as you want, but this is not empowering. And actually, someone very close to mine said that thing, because I was stuck in a victimizing myself or feeling pity for myself a cycle in, and since why I am actually still struggling with emotional eating sometimes, right? Obviously, losing your partner and the father of your child, and losing your whole, and actually grieving the life that you wanted to have and you thought you would have. It's so hard, and it triggers a lot, of course. But feeling sorry for yourself is not empowering. What you can take is look at yourself and ask yourself, why am I here? What did I do to allow myself to be here? Can I change that? Yes, we can. Everything can be changed, of course. It's all within. And just just be kind with yourself, and it's okay to accept how you are while working to be the best version of yourself. You need to actually do that. You need to first accept yourself, how you are, where you got in your life, why are you there in your life, and then start applying small changes that suit your own life and your lifestyle and your habits, to be the best version the best version of yourself.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you for having us. Where can everyone find you on socials?
Instagram is at I am Foxy.
Amazing. Also, guys, she does the most amazing grazing boards, and we can make them healthy, mix of both, balance between the two. She really does. Thank you so much,
Thank you
Foxy.
so much for
I
having me.
so happy you could join us today, and it sounds like we're gonna need a part two soon.
I think so. I was just thinking, oh my God, I didn't even say half of the things I
Yeah.
wanted to say.
So yeah, but thank you, and see you soon.
I'll see you soon.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.